Today we're going to be fixing this 3D printer bed by replacing it with an aluminium bed. Unfortunately, the material I have is 297 millimeters by about 430. So we're just going to have to make one end 297 and we can make the other 310. We're going to be using the DRO that we fitted off on the milling machine in the last video. But we're still going to do some markup just for sanity checking so that when we're milling, we know that we're milling in the correct location. Starting the markup with a 310 millimeter line, I'm going to use a square edge here just to make sure that those 2 points line up correctly. And then we're going to follow that up by marking out the holes. I know I'm going to get a little bit of crap for using calipers in this way, but I don't have any scribes, so calipers it is. Now over at the milling machine, we're going to set up our work holding. I'm just using some 1, 2, 3 blocks here with a couple of strap clamps. And we will align the back edge, which is cut fairly straight, to the milling table, and then we'll drill our 4 holes. Here I'm setting up the dial indicator that I'll use to check if the back end of this plate is level with the milling machine. I'll just tap it around until I can get that dial to move as little as possible. This is a saw cut end, so it's not going to be perfect, but we're trying to get it as straight as possible. Now that is complete, we're going to move on to spot drilling the holes. So I'm just going to put in the spot drill bit, and I'm going to go around and check the first 2 holes and make sure that the measurements are correct to each other, and then we'll finish up spotting up the rest of them. Here I'm aligning the spot drill to that first hole, and then I'm moving the carriage across using the DRO. I'm going to spot drill the second, but before I do that, I'm just going to verify that it is 200 millimeters. Do the spot drill. Now I know that DRO is correct. I'm happy enough to go around and just spot drill the rest. Now with the spot drilling complete, we're going to move on to the 4.2 millimeter drill bit, and here we'll drill the holes for our M5 threads. We're just using the DRO to bring it to the correct coordinates and just drilling straight through the material. With the drilling complete, now we're going to use the milling machine to cut off the excess material, so we're left with the 310 millimeter length that we require. So we're going to do it in multiple passes, as this cutter that I've got here is high-speed steel, and if I try and do a single pass cut with it, it just gums up. So do multiple passes, we'll turn on the flood coolant, and we'll just get going. And with the final pass, we have finished cutting the material to size. Now, I wish before pulling this apart, I went back and did a spring pass just to clean up that surface. Unfortunately, it wasn't the best, but it will do for a 3D printer heater bed. Now we've just deburred the edges, and we'll follow it up by tapping the holes. Yeah, I've got my friend Pete giving us a hand in the shop today, so he's decided he wanted to tap the holes for me, and I'm not going to say no to that. Free labor is free labor. With the holes tapped, we're going to come through with a countersink bit so we can countersink the studs into the bed. That way that we have a flat surface on the top of the bed for 3D printing. I've had to use pliers to help thread these studs into place, and because of this we've gone back through with a die just to make sure that thread is correct, and will work when we need it to. And there we have it. All 4 studs are installed and very straight. We're going to clean the surface with acetone just to remove any wax and grease that's on the surface. This will help us stick the original heater bed pad back to it. I'm also going to clean the surface of the heater bed just to loosen up some of that adhesive, and then we'll stick it down as tight as we can, and once we turn it on for the first time, the heat will help stick it back to the aluminium. Alright, here's the mess of the original 3D printer bed. So I actually used another spare one to take the heater pad off. So we're going to install the new one here, and as you can see, we've drilled those holes in the correct spot and it's just going straight in. Here's our first test of the printer. We've turned it on to 30 degrees to see if we can measure if it's all coming up to 30 degrees or if it's just got a hot spot in the center. Now the measurement didn't work using just the aluminium surface, so we've added some Kapton tape, which is a really good print surface, and it's allowed the thermometer to work, and we've checked 5 points in the printer bed, the 4 corners and the center, and they're all within 1 degree of each other, which is perfect because the original bed had a temperature differential of about 15 degrees from center to the corners. With the temperature check complete, it's time to level the bed and do a print. Now I'm extremely happy with this project. It has worked exactly how I thought it would. I'm thinking about making aluminium heater beds for the other few printers that I have, so if you'd like to see more, let me know. Until next time, have a good one.